Imagine Khalil Rountree as John Connor, and behind him the Terminator's coming, and all he says is trauma, and the Terminator is Alex Pereira, because holy crap, that was incredible, guys. That round 4, oh my gosh. And Khalil had a great fight, don't get me wrong, but man, Alex Pereira is just something special, guys. He's just something special. He's doing something special, and we're watching it, and people realize it in real time. Now, the Pereira haters are obnoxious, sure, but what a performance. We can't deny how great Alex Pereira was in the main event of UFC 307, the big stage. There's no stage too big for Alex Pereira, it seems like. None at all. He's a Terminator. He walks you down. He comes forward at all costs. He's just one of those guys that is a pure action fighter. He did some great things in this fight, and it made me think like, wow, this guy is special. He is incredible. Like, there's nothing bad I can say about Alex Pereira except for the fact that he hasn't fought Nurmagomedov. So what's next for Alex Pereira, you know? There's really so many different options, but it's got to be Nurmagomedov, right? That's the one everybody wants to see. That's what everybody wants to see. Nurmagomedov and not Khalil Rountree, and Alex Pereira. But, you know, we're not going to postulate on the future too much here. Like and subscribe, guys. This episode is going to be for you. Yeah, so Alex Pereira. I want to really focus in on, we're going to talk about Khalil's game plan in a second here, but I want to talk about Alex Pereira's adjustments, okay? So I think we kind of got to get a little bit into what Khalil Rountree brought to the table. We'll go more in depth into it in a second here, but so what Pereira was facing here is a southpaw, and like we talked about in the past before, Alex Pereira is no stranger to a southpaw fighter. He's not worried about a southpaw fighter at all because he knows, like, hey, I'm kicking the outside of the leg, which means I have to do a step-up lead, step-up kick, not my right kick like I do on orthodox fighters. So if you imagine their feet together, a kick from this side hits the inside of the thigh, and that leaves him primed for a left cross counter against Khalil Rountree. We saw this against Izzy, Jamal Hill, Yuri Prohaska. We saw this against those guys where he knows when they're switching stances, specifically Izzy, because Izzy's back and forth a lot. He can kick the outside of the leg. Now, Khalil did a good job of punishing that low kick. He punished it, so Pereira had to adjust. And we'll talk about how he punished it later. The adjustment he made was, okay, well, we're going to go to the cross. You know, we're going to start doing the high kick or the right high kick. Khalil disencouraged that too by stepping in, being very fast, and hitting very hard. So Pereira said, okay, fine. This is about round 3, maybe round 4. He starts just finding the uppercut, varying the strikes. He knows that Khalil's not as fast as he was at the beginning of the round. He knows that Khalil isn't as explosive as he was at the beginning of the fight. I said round, I meant fight. So what he's faced down with here now is the fact that Khalil Rountree is a slower fighter than what he was used to. If you watch, he was very caught off guard early about this. But what made it such an incredible performance was the speed at which it turned around. It was like that. The scorecards had it. All 3 judges had it. 29-28 for Khalil Rountree. And Pereira took over that 3rd round. But it really didn't start going downhill until very early in that 4th round. That first time Khalil Rountree was hurt. And then he started hunting. He's just, hey, I'm coming to get you. You're done. You're mine. This is my belt. And he kept his belt. All due respect to Khalil Rountree, he fought great. But like, it just seemed like he was in the way of destiny on this fight. Alex Pereira had a really cool Dutch hand trap where he reached out, pulled the lead hand down because Khalil Rountree had this high guard, and that's susceptible to the Dutch hand trap, and he landed across really nice against the fence. He found the uppercut, you know, and then the finishing, it was 2 body shots, and the right hook to the body folded over Khalil Rountree, it was just painful, and you could tell it was painful. And then the uppercut came and put him on the ground. So, yeah, great win for Alex Pereira. I'd like to see Magomed Ankalaev next, but I got a sneaky feeling that Rakic is going to beat Ankalaev, and he'll never see the light of a title shot ever. But, man, let's give him some time off. 3 fights in 2024. Hill at 300. 302 or 303, he comes in, fights Yuri Prochazka, and now 307. Like, the man's been busy. And if you consider the other, heavyweight, the other title shot fights that he had with Yuri, Jan Blachowicz wasn't a title shot, but that was, a title-level fight. Man, he's special. We're watching greatness right now. And he may run into a wrestler one day and get dominated. But that doesn't deny the fact of what he did. Strickland, Izzy. The Izzy loss, sure. Blachowicz, Yuri Prochazka, Jamal Hill, Yuri Prochazka again, and now Khalil Rountree. And Rountree fought the best out of all of those, with the exception of Israel Adesanya. Incredible run. Incredible run. And there's nothing you can say that can convince me otherwise. Now, Khalil Rountree's game plan was probably the most interesting part for me. How do you disincentivize a person coming forward at all costs, ready to destroy you? Because Alex Pereira is a destroyer, a Terminator. How do you disincentivize that? Well, his step-up low kick, everybody's big on. Oh, he's going to step up low kick you. You got to be ready for it. Khalil said, okay, I'm ready for it. Bring it. He's checking the low kicks. He's stepping in as Pereira's on one leg. I question if he'd have an easy time timing this low kick, because Pereira does not telegraph this at all. Doesn't turn his hips over. It's contact over power. He doesn't turn anything over. He just wants to hit, because he knows he hits so hard that even the small touches do him well. That gave Alex Pereira problems. That gave Alex Pereira a lot of problems. And if you can't respect what Khalil Rountree did in that fight, he had Pereira hurt a couple times. Not necessarily on like death's door hurt, sure, but he had Pereira hurt. Now, in Jack Dempsey's book, A Flame of Pure Fire, he talks about the Jess Willard fight. And in that fight, they talk about, they didn't have a neutral corner in that fight. And Dempsey had knocked him down twice, moving about, and knocked him down for a third time. And in the book, this is an excerpt from the book. The link's in the description if you want, so go check that out. It says, at this point, Willard's life was in peril. There was not yet a neutral corner rule in boxing. Dempsey could not hit Willard when the big man was down, because remember, Jess Willard was tall and massive, 6'6". He had killed a man in the ring. Dempsey was fighting for his life, he thought. And he fought like a pit bull. But he could stand over him and batter him as soon as he regained his footing. There was no respite. Willard was now capable of only rudimentary defense, a kind of pawing to keep Dempsey away. Today, if there were fights such as this, it would end right here after the third knockdown. A good referee would simply stop the fight. Failing that, a good ring doctor would demand a halt. The referee, of course, did not, and allowed Jack Dempsey to continue this. And that felt a lot like what we saw in round 4 against Khalil Rountree. His game plan was great. He's blocking high. He's being explosive and stuff. But eventually, Alex Pereira just gets to you. And he got to Khalil Rountree. And from then, like that fourth, it felt like a stalking animal. Like Jack Dempsey and Jess Willard. Or like Justin Gaethje and what's his name? Tony Ferguson. Like, look, let's pause for a second and let's look at just how bad that Jack Dempsey Jack Dempsey fight was. It was horribly just a battering. And tell me this is not what Alex Pereira, Khalil Rountree felt.
But he's game. He's up again. The fist drumming on him. The Mauler overwhelms him with a hysterical burst of fury that sends him to the floor. Dempsey pumping right and left into him. Clear across the opposite corner. And there he's taking it again. How can the man stand it? And there he falls, his gloved hand feeling for the rope, trying to hold himself up. Then, painfully, he drags his racked body to a half-erect position. But a right smashes into his side. Other rights crash to the head, and Willard collapses.
Great game plan from Pereira. Great game plan from Khalil Rountree. I was happy to see both of them, and it felt like, Khalil Rountree stock rose. He's ranked 8th. He probably won't move up, but he probably won't move down for losing to the champion. So, yeah, great for him, I'm happy for him. All right, so now you've got, let's see, what was else? The co-main event was terrible. Juliana Peña, Raquel Pennington. It's the women's bantamweight title. I had Pennington winning, especially it was 2-2 going into that 5th round. Pennington couldn't do anything with the takedown. So, great, good win for Juliana Peña. At least she beat Amanda Nunes, whereas Raquel Pennington quit against her. But I will say, I thought Pennington was going to quit in this fight because of Juliana Peña's toughness. She didn't. She showed that, hey, I have the heart of a champion, at least. She just doesn't have the skills of a champion. Mario Bautista played it by the rules, but what of it? He beat Jose Aldo in the only the last non-title fight at UFC 307. How did he do this? He pressured Aldo to the fence and he leaned on him. Kinda whack, kinda lame. Aldo, great takedown defense. He's an old man. He's 38. I thought he was 35. I've been thinking he was 30. I thought he was 32. I've been thinking Jose Aldo is 32 for like 5 years now, apparently, because he's gotten old on me quick. And he looked old. He did. He wasn't quite as fast. His combinations were fast. He throws punches together well. But Aldo's problem is, we saw this against Merab Dvalishvili in Salt Lake City the last time he fought here. He's content to just stop the takedown. Now, the rules are effective grappling, and that doesn't account for defensive grappling. Like, if you're on the bottom, you're losing a fight, right? And if you're pressed against the fence, it's the same basic position. You're losing this fight. And Bautista was fine with chewing up clock. Now, Mario Bautista, because he beat a fan favorite, Jose Aldo, he's getting a lot of hate. And I get it. I love Jose Aldo. In the live stream, I stood up and I saluted when they were saying his name. Just being goofy, bruh. But you also got to remember, Jose Aldo is a great fighter. Impossible to take down. The best wrestlers, the champion, Merab, couldn't take him down. 0 for 16. And you expect Mario Bautista to take him down. It's a great approach from Bautista. It played within the rules, but that leads to a wider conversation of, we need to change the rules a little bit here. Major League Baseball just added a pitch clock. There's a shot clock in basketball. There's a shot clock in, or a play clock in the NBA, or not NBA, in football. And I don't want to put them on a strict timer to complete a takedown, because that kind of takes away from the sport. But like, the rules, they're incentivizing this, like, hey, I'm kind of staying busy here, what are we gonna do? We got to do something. We got to do something about it. And thank God I'm not the athletic commission, because I don't know what to do. A shot clock sounds like a good idea. McGregor tweeted like he'd put them on like a 30-second shot clock, and if they didn't do nothing and keep trying, like, yeah, maybe like a stalling card, kind of like in wrestling, where they get called stalling and you lose a point for that. Maybe that could be a foul. But then again, when we talk about Cesar Almeida and Neo Portiera, like, they don't call fouls. Like, so what are we going to do? But like a stalling maybe in wrestling, that'd be actually a unique approach to it. That just came right off the dome, actually. Just thinking about it right here. The noggin's working still, boys, even though I'm 34 years old. I'm getting old. But yeah, so, great win. Great win for Bautista, a legacy-defining win. You could beat an old Jose Aldo. He's 38, though. So, What else was on this card? Roman Dolidze beat a Kevin Holland on short notice. Holland's rib broke, and it was kind of one of those things to where, short notice, Holland's injured. Dolidze, it was just a horrible look for Kevin Holland, because A, he got taken down by Roman Dolidze, who can't take anybody down to save his life. Then he got mounted by Roman Dolidze. Then he got pounded out by Roman Dolidze. Now he broke his rib or whatever it was. And that sucks for him, especially stepping in on short notice at a weight class up from 170, which he's used to now. But yeah, so Roman Dolidze got the win. You know, it was a good win for Dolidze, but I don't rate that one too high if I'm being honest. But a win that I did rate well, despite the criticism she got, the new bantamweight champion, Kayla Harrison. She beat Ketlen Vieira, and I said before this, Ketlen Vieira is going to give her a very hard time in this fight because we've seen Aspen Ladd, we've seen Larissa Pacheco. Those two fighters gave her trouble just by being physical, and Ketlen Vieira was very physical. Now, I thought it was going to run away from us in the first round. I was like, oh, man, Kayla's all over her. Kayla's all over her. And, yeah, she had the back and the choke looked like it was in, yada, yada. But it was a good win from Kayla. It was actually about par the course for what you expect from Kayla Harrison. So she'll likely be the number one contender in Jump Raquel Pennington. And you'll see Juliana Peña versus Kayla Harrison booked next. Maybe December. That'd be cool to see her back. Kayla did say she wanted to be UFC champion by the end of 2024 at UFC 300. This win puts her right at the doorstep, and they just have to convince Juliana Peña to fight. Juliana Peña called out Amanda Nunes. Not the number one contender. It's like John Jones calling out Stipe Miocic. Not calling out the number one contender, Tom Aspinall. It's the exact same thing. Just Stipe hadn't formally said, hey, I'm retired. It's the same thing. If you're comparing that, if you think about that for a second, Peña said, hey, I want to fight you, Amanda Nunes. That's like John Jones said, hey, I want to fight you, Stipe Miocic. I don't care that Kayla Harrison's here. I don't care that Tom Aspinall's here. That's the exact same situation. So as far as I'm concerned, Kayla Harrison's our champion because she's being ducked by the champ. Ducked. And Kayla Harrison fights anybody. She fought Holly Holm in her debut. She fought Ketlen Vieira, who's the worst stylistic matchup. And I find it hard to believe that anyone could say Juliana Peña beats Kayla Harrison. I think Ketlen Vieira beats Juliana Peña. I think she's just holding the belt, kind of like Miesha Tate was holding the belt for Amanda Nunes. You know, granted, she's got a good win over Amanda Nunes, sure, but it's Kayla's era now, and I'm interested. I want to see her cut to 135, but we don't know how this is going to go. So hopefully that fight gets booked for December. That'd be actually an interesting fight, and it would finally, make the women's bantamweight feel like it's a division that is topped by the best now. So what else happened on this card here? Joaquin Buckley knocked out Stephen Thompson. It might be time for Wonderboy to retire. Round 3, Stephen Thompson has a decent fight, but his footwork is absolutely gone. He leans against the cage, leans against the fence, and he just lets people shoot in on him. So really good shifting hook from Joaquin Buckley here. I thought, that right hook put Wonderboy out, and, props to him. That was a good fight. He called out Usman. I really like that. Usman's a fun fight for him. It's really good to test out his wrestling. And let's get Usman back in the mix here, Let's get him back in the mix. So if you go over to the rankings at, welterweight? Let's see who's there at welterweight. Usman's number 2. Stephen Thompson's number 9, so you can probably see Buckley jump up to 10 or 9. Yeah, I like it. Let's book Usman. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He needs to fight below his weight. Yasmin Luciendo beat Marina Rodriguez, who can't get out of her own way. Very close fight. I thought Marina may have won that, but Alexander Hernandez had a good fight against Austin Hubbard. I thought Hernandez was going to have a hard time here with the upper weight class, a bigger opponent, and elevation and his cardio issues. So, props to him. He went out there and he fought really well. Hernandez has had problems in the past. If you go and look here, Damon Jackson, Bill Algeo, Billy Q, Hanato Moicano, Thiago Moises, Drew Dober. He's not had the best of luck since 2020. It's been a rough 4 years for him, but he still goes out and he still competes. He beat Jim Miller, beat Mike Breeden, Gutzmeyer, he's great. Cesar Almeida and Io Portiera. Let's get into this for a little bit. Portiera, I poked 4 times in this fight. Punched in the nads. This ref was absolutely horrible. horrible. Now, I pitched this idea out several times, but anytime there's a foul, you need to deduct a point. It changes how the flow of a fight goes. In the NFL, you don't. Here's your warning card for pass interference. It's a crucial play. It's a crucial moment. And it changes how a fight should be. Or a play goes. Automatic first down. It is pass interference is an automatic first down. Regardless if it was, a 2-yard pass or a 40-yard pass. I almost said 400. I was like, wait, what? But eye pokes, groin shots, they change the physical characteristics of a fight, and it should be a point deduction every time. What else? Let's get through this real quick. Ryan Spahn choked out OSP. Time for 27-18 OSP to retire. Tisha Pennington beat Carla Esparza. Sadly, she retired after that. We knew she was retiring, but, cool to see her get, a send-off package like that. But, Esparza, the first strawweight champion, got it off of Namajunas off a really weird fight. And, Jane Whaley kind of did the thing. And then finally, Court McGee defeated Tim Means with a neck crank. I enjoyed the card. I didn't think it was the best card. I didn't think it was the worst card, but it entertained me from start to finish. It might be a fight-loving degenerate, but whatever, Anyway, so yeah, Alex Pereira, great win. I thought he fought fantastically, and I really appreciate the era that we're in now. The legs of his opponents with his own, quote, shortcut kick. Right here. Joe Rogan goes on about the technique obsessively, and it is quite effective. So if you want to know more over at a slight angle and does not turn his hips over nor his shoulders. Support the channel. Substack, roundhouse kick. But when an opponent takes up a southpaw stance, putting Alex Pereira into an open stance matchup, he changes how he kicks and attacks the legs differently. Instead,